Stories help us to understand the world around us. They allow us to laugh, they allow us to cry, they give us the ability to feel and provide us with an outlet to heal. Join me as I get to know some of the amazing people behind the stories that we read in order to truly discover the story that has been hidden within each of us. My name is Bre Smith, and this is the Author Push Talk Show. Welcome to the Author Push Talk Show. I am your host, Bre Smith, and today we have a lovely author who is going to be talking about her children's book that she has produced called I Love Being Brown. Amaris Triplett is from East St. Louis, Illinois, and she comes from a large family where she is the second oldest of 5 sisters and 1 brother. She is married with an amazing son and 2 equally dynamic daughters. She loves being brown because it represents strength, beauty, intelligence, and creativity. Being brown is difficult and rewarding once you understand you come from royalty. Her mother and grandmother always told Amaris that she was beautiful and could accomplish anything. So please welcome to the show, Amaris Triplett. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, no problem. So I absolutely loved your book. So I got a chance to actually read it last night. It was so powerful, and I love it because you were talking about, us as little brown children, even minority children, feeling comfortable with the skin that we're in. And I know growing up, I felt very ashamed. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because, you got racism. And then the area that I grew up in Kentucky. And so just to see like that dynamic, actually I lived in on the West Coast. So that was a different dynamic. And then when we moved back to the South, completely different, you know what I mean? And then that's when I really started to notice, who I was and was feeling very uncomfortable. So I love what you did. So can you please just tell us where did the idea come from for you to write this book?
So I have 2 books. I Love Being Brown and I Love Being Brown Too. I Love Being Brown Too is a pandemic baby. But I Love Being Brown came from conversations I had to have with my daughter. She's very dark skinned. I have 2 girls that are very brown skinned. But my oldest daughter was bullied a lot when she was younger. About the color of her skin, like you're dirty. So we just had to have conversations with her about you're beautiful. You are valued. We love you. You don't have to worry about those negative things that other people are saying. So the book was birthed through conversations with her.
Amen. That is so powerful. Because I really do believe that's a prevalent problem, right? Still in our society, that colorism issue. You know what I mean? It's like the lighter you are, you know how they used to say back in the day.
The lighter you are, the better you are.
Yeah.
And we deal with it every day, all the time.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And then the darker you are, it's like, you know what I mean? They're like, oh, you the field,
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like, it's like, I just love, like I said, I love what you did there. Because my mother was light skinned. And so I remember having questions with her because I didn't know, I'm like, are you white? She's like, no, I'm not white. You know what I mean? I'm just white, So I love how you just started having conversations and even wrote a book to just kind of help them on this journey with that.
Yeah.
And so growing up, I would say, did you ever feel uncomfortable in your own skin?
Yes. So in high school, I went to a predominantly white high school. And in high school, I was actually bullied for I want to say being too sociable, right? So I went to private school all my life. I was able to interact with anybody, black, white, whatever. And so I was bullied for being so quote unquote an Oreo. But when I looked at it, I was like, kids is kids, if you're nice to me, you smart, you hang with me, I'm gonna talk to whoever. So I refuse to let them put me in a box that I only will talk to certain type of people because of the color of their skin. And because of that, I was bullied my freshman and sophomore year. But it taught me a lot, and so I'm grateful for it because as I went to high school, through high school and college, I was in those same situations, predominantly white schools, but I was able to flourish and interact with everybody because it's not always going to be, you might be the one and only black person in the room. And so if that's an issue for you, you have to have other people that look like you around you. You may not be as comfortable as you need to be. Now, does it help? Yeah, sometimes, but it doesn't have to be that way. And if we want to be successful, we want to be okay with ourselves, we have to be grateful for what we have in our kingdom. That's the only thing we can control.
Amen. Amen. I love that. I love that. Because I think a lot of time it's like us versus them mentality. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, I know it's just a culture thing. So you feel comfortable amongst your own people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I love how you're like, nah, I'm like, I want us to be, you know, like God's children, like how God wanted us to be.
Right.
You know,
Even in my uncomfortableness, I'm sorry, I mean to cut you off. Even in my uncomfortableness, I still need to be okay with me. Even if I'm uncomfortable, even if it's a situation where it's not the best situation, I still need to be okay with me.
Amen. I like that. So when you are in uncomfortable situations, how do you handle that? How do you navigate that? Like, how are you okay with you?
And I've had a lot of experience with that. I mean, just high school, high school, college, master's degree. Like I was like the one, maybe one or two in certain situations. How I deal with it is, I mean, prayer and and really just not worrying about what other people are doing, not worrying about how people view me. People gonna view me however they want to view me. They're gonna hate me or they gonna love me. Hopefully, they see my personality, they see I'm a good person, and they love me. If they hate me just because I'm a brown girl, I can't do nothing about that. That's how God made me. So I truly feel like prayer is a big part of my life. So if I feel really uncomfortable, I will pull over, put my head down, say a prayer because I want God to use me and I want to be in His will and His purpose. So and walk in the path that He wants me to be in. So that's the biggest thing, just making sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed
to. Amen. I love that. And I also loved how you talked about just you feeling comfortable regardless of people like you or not. And I think that's really what's wrong, you know, with our youth, right?
Yeah.
It's because everything, and I know because I experienced it, and that's why I really resonated with your book. Because you know, I experienced it growing up. It was just like, oh man, I want love and attention so bad. I want to be accepted by all these people so bad. So I feel like I have to put on a facade or change who I am, even if I'm with certain groups of people, in order to try to fit in. You know what I mean? Instead of just being like, look, I'm going to accept me for who I am, who the Lord called me to be, and then just, you know, have those people drawn to myself. So I absolutely love that. So is there any advice that you would give to parents with kids who are struggling in their identity or even being bullied at school?
Do what you have to do to support them. If it's going to the administration, if it's going to the people, going to the setting that is happening, be that advocate for your kids. If we're not advocating for our kids, nobody else will. So be the advocate for your kids. Be mindful of the situation, because you don't want to embarrass them and make it worse. But advocate for your kids. Figure out what you need to do. Administration may not even know what's going on. Like, just be the advocate for your kid. But also at home, don't let. So if the school doesn't do anything right away, or they're not supporting you, you support your kid. You figure out, you know, what activities y'all can do after school to encourage that. What that looks like. How do you, maybe get them in an activity? Maybe that'll help them with a positive aspect of what they need for the inside. And I know as a culture, we are sometimes against therapy, but therapy is amazing. I'm a guidance counselor, and it's so many people that are so against therapy. But if you do not have the tools to help your child who is sad, depressed, because people are constantly bullying them, then use those resources for other people to help get in there so that those we don't look up and that child has killed themselves because of the things that they're going through. Suicide is such a high rate with young people, at a alarming rate in some areas. So see what resources, community resources are available to help the kids.
Man, amen. I love that. Because growing up, that's exactly how I was feeling. I felt very suicidal, because I felt like I was under the pressure, right? The pressure
right.
of trying to fit in school, and then feeling like I'm not being loved properly at home and being abused at home. Um, so yes, I'm a big advocate of making sure that your children get the resources that they need, so as they get older, they're not carrying all that trauma, right? And they're unleashing it on the world, you know what I'm saying? And causing other people to bleed, around them because they're hurt. So I just want to say thank you for that. And then also I had a question. So what about those kids at home that are struggling, right? It's not just what's going on at school. Maybe it's something that's going on within the home. Maybe it's something that's going on within their neighborhood. Neighborhood kids can be awful too. Or like I said, maybe they're being bullied by, siblings, or maybe they're even being abused in a home. What advice would you give for those situations?
So in my work, usually what I tell kids, because I deal with kids that are going through a lot, have a lot going on. So try find a trusting adult. It may not be the counselor all the time. It may not be the principal all the time, but there's usually that really good, amazing English teacher or that math teacher who will listen to what's going on. Find a trusted adult, and if someone is hurting you, please tell someone. If you tell one person and they don't believe you, tell somebody else. But yeah, just find that trusting adult. Sometimes it could be the teacher assistant in the classroom. Like, just find that trusting adult that they already kind of care about you, and reach out so that we can get you the help that you need.
Amen. Amen. So how can Black and minority children, even women, men, just us as minorities, period, how can we learn to affirm ourselves, right? Like by ourselves, and then how do we learn to affirm ourselves as a community?
So I think it really does start with the words that come out of our mouths. That's why there's so many positive affirmations in my book, because it starts there. Like, it starts with our language, the things that we say. Because the negative talk starts with the things that we say, right? So we have to reverse it. It starts with those positive affirmations. It starts with those because they are really confidence builders. And as you speak things, then you speak it consistently, and then it will become a part of your language, and then you will start believing in it, right? So it starts with positive affirmations, affirming each other at home. When you hear kids arguing, I just did it last night. When you hear them arguing over something small, stop that conversation, that negative conversation, and then y'all start over with something positive. We have to, if it's not happening outside of our homes, we have to do it at home. And it starts with us too. It starts with the adults. We sometimes say a lot of negative things because life and everything that's going on, but it definitely starts with us and being an example in front of our kids. So definitely positive affirmations and watching positive things with our kids, just reversing the language that we use sometimes helps a lot.
Amen. Amen. I love that. Yeah. And I think even helping to renew the mind, what we actually, what you're watching, the things that you're listening to, can definitely help as well. So thank you for that. So I would say, what was the most difficult part about writing this book or this series?
The most difficult part was basically trying to think, like, how can this affect other kids? So the difficult part was, like, I know how I did with my children, but every kid is different. So the most difficult part was how can I make it relate to other kids, other students. I would say students because I'm an educator. But how do I make it relate to other kids where they get it as well? Because I feel like my books are conversation starters. Um, and I love and I always use that language because it's a quick read. It's not it's not a long book, but it's impactful, right? And the impact that I wanted to do is to cause conversations, right? So we could talk to our kids about just give them a vision. Like some kids, like in regards to careers, they only want to do this or they only want to do that. But that's because mom does it and grandma does, or dad does it and grandpa doesn't. But they don't think outside of, oh, I could be an engineer, unless they see engineers all the time, or I can do this, I can do that. So a conversation starter, not just encouraging our kids to love who they are, but also encouraging our kids to think bigger than their situation, think bigger than what's around them. If it's poverty around you, you don't always have to be in poverty. If it's crime around you, you don't always have to deal with that. You can you can do whatever you put your mind to. So that conversation.
Amen. Amen. I appreciate that. There is one thing I wanted to ask you. When you talked about, because yes, in the book you did talk about like just the different careers that kids can do. Because a lot of times kids want to either be rappers, they want to be dancers, singers,
basketball players.
Yeah, you know what I mean, sports athletes, but that's like what's glamorized, you know what I mean? I feel like a lot of times our community doesn't see another way out besides those things. And I think just even kids learning more, you don't even have, not everybody's meant to go to college, but there are vocational studies and trade schools that they can even attend, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That will allow them to have a life that they desire. So I just say thank you for writing that as well. Is there anybody you would like to shout out or anything at this time?
My family, my mother, my father, my sisters, my brothers, and my wonderful husband and my kids. Yes, they have had my back through this process. It has not been the best, it's been hard trying to get this done. And also my publishing company, Cocoon to Wings, and my illustrator Calvin is amazing. he brought my book to life. I cannot draw, so he brought it to life. That Calvin Reynolds is his name, but he brought it to life because I could not have done a better job. So I'm grateful to my village. That's what I call them. And without them, I would not be here.
Amen. Amen. And where can people purchase your book?
So they can go to my website in the direct links, which is DeAmor.com, DEAMOR Creations. I have to think about how to spell .com, and also Barnes and Noble and Amazon.
All right. Well, thank you once again, Amaris, for coming to be on the show today. I would love, love, love to have you back in the future, just to have more dialogue and conversations around this very important topic. Thank you guys so much for watching the Author Push Talk Show today. Until next time, I'm Bre Smith, and I will see you later. Yeah!